If you're a residential real estate agent earning $200,000 a year and you want to grow your passive income, this show's for you. Learn the secrets other agents use and hear from experts in our field in order to guide you along your journey to investing in assets like apartment communities so that you can turn your commissions into cash flow. I'm Randall McLeod. Let's go, baby. All right, agents, welcome back. It's great to have you on today. I am interviewing Ranjit Singh today. Awesome conversation, really just diving into his past, kind of what he's working on. He studied engineering. He has a background in, I guess his family has a background in real estate and in business. And so he always wanted to get into that side of things. And so we talk about his transition from London to the United States, what that looks like and how he got here. It's a pretty interesting story. Guy moves fast, so you'll get that in the interview. He focuses now on triple net leases, on medical, and he talks about how that's kind of rolled over into his residential brokerage business as well. He just kind of picks that up based on his niche in the medical office space. So really interesting conversation. We talk at the end a bit about syndication and about how he is already putting capital to work and how he has a network of capital partners who he's putting into deals that he is brokering. So it's really interesting how he's working that, and he's just learning, constantly learning. So great guy, great conversation, and you're going to get something out of it. So stick to the end. Talk to you soon. So maybe just go back then a little bit. So England, right? Came over. When did you come? Like, give me the backstory. Like, how did you get into real estate? Like, what's the story? Because you're an engineer by trade or by study, right?
Correct. I have a engineering degree from City University in England, Bachelor of Computer Systems Engineering. And then I also did my MBA in Management Consultancy. And then I used to work for a very large engineering firm as the head of IT. So all great doing that. Then I got married. I found, or should I say, I met someone, and my wife's a Floridian. She was in England for her cousin's wedding, whom I was his best man. Uh-huh. And she flew in from Florida, and she tells me her side of the story. Her parents like, believe you me, we're not taking you to England to find an Indian guy. Just going for a wedding. Don't expect any instructions. Nothing's happening. We're going to go and have some fun. So she ended up here. I was at the wedding. I saw her, and I kid you not, from the minute I saw her, within the next 3 days, I proposed to her.
That
yeah,
is
crazy,
incredible. Not really planned. Not.
No.
Okay.
I saw her. I now believe in it. I used to be very skeptical, but I love at first sight. So kind of saw her. I proposed to her. This is the funny bit, because when I proposed to her, it was over BlackBerry. And I don't know if you remember the BlackBerry.
Oh, yeah.
I messaged. I didn't even do it in person. And she said yes. A couple of days later, our parents met and all of that jazz happened. Yeah. And then 6 months from there, we got 2 months from there, we got engaged. And then the next 4 months, we got married. And she lived with me in England for like 3 years. But there's some dynamic things going on. Don't want to get too much into it with like families and things like that. But we just started, we thought, look, let's immigrate. So she's a Floridian, born and raised in Florida. Yeah. I ended up green card and we moved over here. And then
what year was that?
Here,
how long ago?
That was 2014.
2014. Okay. Yeah.
We've been married for a while. We got 3 kids, 2 boys and a girl. We live in Orlando, Florida. And ever since I got here, we owned a couple of businesses. And then we ended up selling those. And then I just kind of felt, I'm going to do what I really, really believe that is my calling. And ever since I was a kid, like, my parents own some real estate and they've got some businesses. I always wanted to get into real estate. I just feel that is the best. And I always agree with it. It's always been the best way of creating generational wealth. So just kind of got into that, and I've kind of just rose my way up.
Well, I'm just kind of curious if I've got you. Then what was you started off in residential, you got it set in residential, and then that one transaction basically clued you into like commercial, like I want to be in commercial and business brokering, or what?
I mean, the thing was, that was actually my very first transaction. So I became licensed as a realtor. That was my first deal. And ever since I've been in it, a lot of my friends over here are physicians, business owners. So I kind of always was keen and intrigued about business, brokerage, and commercial. So in order to get there, I had to get the experience of transactions and contract writing and, due diligence periods and understanding commercial. But, in order to do that, I had to go through the residential side as well. So that's kind of where I started. And now it's like I've done multiple medical office transactions, built to suit. We're working on some hotel deals right now. Like, it just took time, but that's something that's in life. Like you said earlier on, is you've got to be consistent and never take your eye off the ball. And the ball for me was, becoming one at commercial real estate.
Yeah. Just show up. Yeah, constantly. I talked to a lot of agents and a lot of other professionals, and the underlying. So when I talk to top producers, what I see as like a mainline metric that everyone is doing, it's like they answer their phone, call people back, they show up, and they do it consistently over time. So it's like that. Yeah.
And that's it. There's no. I mean, so I mentor some agents as well, and they're always asking me, "What do you do? How do you do?" And you've literally just summed it up, because everyone thinks there's a magic pill to being successful, and it's not. It's literally written on the wall. You've, just like you said, you've got to be consistent. And one thing about real estate, being residential or commercial, you've got to follow up. You can't just sit there and expect your clients to call you. If you're going to say you're going to call them, you call them. Yeah. And if you say you're going to email them, you're going to email them. And I have a laptop, I have an iPad. I keep my iPad in the car with me all the time, because you don't know when you're going to have to do a contract or send an email. Like, I keep myself prepared. But I think the biggest thing is you've got to be consistent, because it's that compound effect. Kind of like what I said to you before is, some people, for example, have a New Year resolution, like, I'm going to hit the gym the 1st of Jan. I'm going to go every day or 5 days a week. I'm going to do half an hour. I'm going to do all this stuff. And I think that's not real. You're setting yourself up to fail. And then when you drop, but I guarantee you one thing, commit to and say it will work. You do running on the spot for 5 minutes every day for 365 days. Let's see the difference.
Yeah.
And it's compound effect. And that model, or that theory, you can apply it to anything in your life, business, personal, marriage, girlfriend, boy, whatever it is. You've got to be consistent. And if you do a little bit every day, it's that compound effect,
Yeah, it's an interesting way to look at it, because I know I went to some seminar a while back, and I went to some deal, and it was like, okay, visualize where you want yourself to be and write this number down. It was monetary based, and how much do you want to be earning? And then everybody writes a number down, and then they're like, okay, where are you now? And then you write that down. It's like, what's the percentage change that you need to change? Mine was like through the roof, like some astronomical like percentage change. And it was just unrealistic. But then you start looking at it and you say, okay, you break that down, and then you start compounding that over time. If you just do the little things matter. You do it consistently over time, that compounds. Then one day you look up and you're like, oh crap, I'm there. Okay, I'm doing it. So yeah, it's good advice. Very good advice. I want to jump in and talk to you about some commercial. So you said you've done medical office. It looked like you did some multifamily. So are you just diverse across asset classes, or are you focused on one thing specifically?
I really just stick to 3 that I love and I know best. So obviously multifamily and medical office, and then land development. And the reason why I choose land development as my third asset, or that class, is because it actually encompasses the other 2. Because land development, there's a lot of BTR, like build to rent product going on right now. Yeah. And then multifamily development as well. So that kind of encompasses that. And then medical office, I have people who do, build to suit from ground up. So that kind of involves that. But those are like the 3 main assets that I love to work with. And I've kind of dabbled in retail, like shopping plazas and hospitality, but it's not something that I would say it's in my wheelhouse. Like, I know how they work and how to do some due diligence on them, but it's not something that I'm personally like, it's in my wheelhouse. My main thing is multifamily, because that's something that I would personally invest in, and I would personally grow that to make it my primary portfolio.
Yeah. Do you know a guy named Vasu? He's in Orlando. He's doing a lot of build to rent.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I'll connect you guys if you haven't talked to him. But he was in a fund manager group that I was in, doing some good things. So he's I'll connect you guys.
I appreciate
be a good point of contact just to have in your market doing BTR.
Yeah.
So boss, if you're listening, man, shout out, bud. So on the multifamily investing, so you said you still do some luxury homes as well in that market?
Yeah. So so here, and this is how it kind of worked out for me. And I always say this to people in general, even new agents, is you've got to pick a niche or a niche, the Americans say. And my niche is medical.
Okay.
Because right. So here's the thing. When I'm doing medical and I'm doing build to suit or medical offices like that, 90% of the time, the client comes back and says to me, I'm looking for a house for my family. And those houses are like minimum. I did one in August last year for 1.75 million.
Yeah.
So the moral of the story is I deliberately choose that niche because number one, my father's a physician. Number two, a lot of my friends are pharmacists and physicians as well. But number three is those people, I can help them on the residential side and commercial side. But the biggest thing is those people in that asset, they don't really care about interest rates too much. Like all the issue that's going on right now, if they see value, they're going to buy. They're not going to be like, oh, it's 0.3%, I can't buy this. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
sure.
You got to pick your niche, and that's the one I picked.
Yeah, a lot of the guys, there's a few that I've talked to, again, just around the country and locally, and if you're in a certain price point, a lot of them are paying cash anyway, and it's not, interest rates don't really matter. It's just the basis in the deal. So, all right, let's dive in then to commercial. So are you doing the actual development? Are you just brokering those deals? Or are you jumping in and actually investing your principal in those transactions? How does that look?
So I'm just brokering right now. And the way I do that is I would love to get more into development. Like I'm working with some developers right now. We're getting a bit more like knee deep. But the way I'm trying to do these deals is I will source the property for them. And if I'm representing them, I would actually broker the deal. But whatever commission I make, I put myself in a position to roll some of that commission in as, let's say, a limited partner. Not right now, that'll be down the road. But like even for multifamily, we have a couple of clients, for example, out in New York. They're looking between 40 to 60 million purchase price. And that's the type of opportunity that I would use my commission to roll it in. So I'm part of the deal as well. So, kind of becoming more of an LP.
Yeah. But, I think that's a fantastic way to get into it, man. It's like a no-brainer to take some on the back end and cash flows over time. So I don't know. On the development, it's hard because you're not really getting much cash flow unless you have a specific type of strategy that's going on. But
here's what I do, and I'm happy to share that, is this is, again, where my niche comes in. So on the land brokerage side, there are deals that happen where the developer may need an equity partner. So when you're bringing an equity partner in, I would bring my physicians into that. So some of my physicians who are sitting on a substantial amount of money, they're looking for a 200 to 300% return, but they don't want to sit in the deal for, let's say, 5 or 6 years or 8 years, typically what multifamily does, 3 to 8. They would literally lend out the money. They would be like, look, I'll be an equity partner. I'll give you 5 million and, give me a 200 to 300% return in 36 months.
Yeah.
So that's another opportunity because I have people who they've got the money, they don't know what to do with it, but they want a better return. So I'd rather get them into the brokerage side of, doing a land deal where we're going to buy some land, we're going to build, BTR or multifamily, 200 to 300 units. And, the developer needs a bit of a cash injection. And that's another way of doing it.
So you're saying you're seeing returns right now on some of those development deals, a 3x multiple, right? Is that what I'm getting?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Correct.
So what are you seeing that? Medical, multifamily? What's the highest return that you're seeing?
Multifamily. So we're doing something right now. Multifamily, we're building, or should I say my client, they're building 224 units here in Orlando, fully entitled parcel, like 23 acres. And we've got a cash injection with a physician there. He's bringing in, about 4.5 million. And, they're guaranteeing him, within 20 months or at the end of month 20 to have 14.8 million back, including investment. So for him, that's a return where he's definitely not going to see leaving his money in the bank or putting it into either triple net or, becoming a GP or staying as an LP on a multifamily opportunity is, if I can get the physician to be a GC or as close to being in a GC position, that's where you're going to see the maximum return.
Yeah, that's incredible. So what's the risk profile on that deal? I mean, where are they in the capital stack if they are putting up that much money? And so at 4 million on 200 something in Orlando, I'm guessing, what is that? A $50 million deal?
It's going to be a little bit. We're looking at, once it's all ready and done, the developer's going to obviously cash out, refinance it, but they're estimating that total deal to be probably close to 96 million.
Okay.
Here's what we do. It's probably a great strategy, because I always say, you've got to think outside the box here, but they're going to have a $40 million lien on the property for their construction loan. And, my physician's obviously like, he's not going to be in first position. He's probably going to be in second position, which is a little bit of a scare. But the thing is, when you're doing a deal like that, 90% of the time, they take the land as collateral. Now, because the developer has got an extensive portfolio, my client is going to actually physically own the land, as in he will be the purchaser of the land. And then we're going to another asset in the developer's portfolio as collateral. So what that means is, the $40 million construction loan, if they default on that for whatever reason or they don't complete, my physician won't lose the land as what you would normally would do, is there would be another asset by the developer that would be at risk. So
okay.
Just we kind of give more.
Sorry, let me unpack that. So you're saying that he's buying, the owner is basically contributing the dirt to the deal. So right. The owner being the physician friend of yours, he bought it for $4 million. Okay, I'm going to contribute the dirt. That's my equity into the deal. But the bank still would have a lien on that property. So the bank can take that back. However, if they do, he's able to be made whole through one of the other properties, correct?
So you can always pick, because the bank always asks for collateral, and the primary form of collateral is the land in question.
Sure.
In is like, well, if you default, I can see your track record. It's great, but we just can't predict the future. But if you do default, what's my security, or how am I protected? So our suggestion was, well, you've got literally a $500 million portfolio here. Why don't we use one of your other properties? And that's what the developers considering now, is to use another property as collateral. Yeah, that's the only.
Yeah, and you put this together. You came up with this idea, this structure.
Yes.
Yeah, awesome, man. It's a very, very creative way to take it down and make sure that people are covered.
Yeah, I mean, and type of return, like 200, like to walk away, they're suggesting if it takes 36 months to finish, it would be a $15.8 million return. That's including the original $4 million to my physician. But they're like thinking, to be honest, we could be probably done within 20 to 24 months. And I'm thinking, well, you're getting your money back quicker. You're getting it's close to 300% return. Like, I'd never seen something like that.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely have on the development side of things. Again, the risk is just a little bit higher. Buying something stabilized and something that is already performing is a much different scenario. Obviously, you're going for cash flows along the way. And
I mean, what I mean, like, in that return, I think, like, if you have the opportunity of either investing in a land development, multifamily, or triple net, like, if you compare it, I just think there's no return as good as that. And the reason why I say that is a lot of people, you need a plan. A lot of people get in as an LP, which is a great way to start. and I definitely don't deter that. But then as you're an LP, as time goes on and you become comfortable, the next level up is going to be a GP, and then you're kind of getting comfortable there. Then I think the next level up from that is literally being in bed with the developer, or being a GC. So as you go up in rank, that's how you start making more money.
So yeah, you say GC. I mean, general contractor. Is that what you're referring to? Like, I'm not swinging a hammer. It's like,
what I try to say like that is, I mean, there are GCs out there, by the way, that do construction and they end up owning.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
The project. But he's got multiple practices. His wheelhouse is medicine. Like, if I can get him as close to being a preferred partner with the GC, that's probably the best position to be in, because, the developer's not, spreading himself too thin with a lot of equity up front. You've got a partner in who's got the money. B, you're splitting your equity, your spread there, like maybe 70-30 or 60-40, but I think it's a win-win for both parties.
Yeah, for sure. And that's in like an individual partnership style setup, and knowing the needs of both sides is exactly how you're able to structure that and make that happen. So that's very cool, man. That's good for you putting that together. And so you see that as kind of like where your focus is going to be, kind of putting your networks together.
Yes. So again, like with these when I deal with one and the deal is going well, either residential or multifamily or medical office, 9 out of 10, they always refer me to another physician. So I'm trying to build my network of physicians where, I can get them in as in a syndication to do multifamily, and they can be an LP or a GP, but get them to see that passive return, because you would be surprised how many physicians are kind of acquiring real estate so that they can get out of medicine and just live off the passive income, because they're bread and butter, so to speak, but they want to get out of that and have more time to travel, be with their family. And if you've got that type of passive income coming in through real estate, that's also appreciating over time. I'm trying to show them that, because there are physicians out there who are sitting on a ton of money and they're just not sure where to invest.
Yeah,
so
100%.
Trying to help them out.
So are you going to, I know you said you're on the LP side, and right now you're kind of structuring these deals without actually being the lead sponsor. And so let me just define a few things here just for the listener. So if you go out and you find a deal and you are the developer, then if you go out to try to raise capital, then you are typically the lead sponsor. You brought this offering to the public or to your community, to your friends and family, whatever it is. You're the lead on the deal and you're the principal that's taking the thing down. If you are brokering it, like Raj is talking about here, then you can get on the GP or the LP side, which is a general partner, also known as one of the lead sponsors, or invest your money as a limited partner. So my question, getting all of that out of the way, is, are you looking to become the lead sponsor and you are the principal in the transaction, or are you sticking with your niche and saying I'm gonna put this whole thing together and I'll syndicate and I'll be a co-GP, which also means a co-general partner, maybe a capital raiser in the deal, maybe all kinds of different things, right? But you'll be on the GP team. So I'm just kind of curious where you want to live in this space and what you see going forward.
I think ultimately I want to become a GP, co-GP. I think that's the way I want to go. I'm building these relationships and, funneling money into these deals that, they're naturally going to grow and be bigger. But I think if I look at my vision board, my thing is I one day want to be, a GP. I think that's my goal. Personally, acquire, unit, apartment complex, and be the main guy on the team there. But whatever it takes to get there, I remain to be consistent, and that's my goal. Or my objective.
So how do you structure then, again, so to me, a syndication, right? Just to break it down, you've got, you can have the GP, and then in this case, it's your developer, whoever's bringing that deal, putting it out, saying, okay, this is my deal, I'm putting it together. And he comes to you and he says, or you go to him and say, hey, I've got these guys, they're ready to put some money into a deal. Right away, to me, that is a co-GP position you have put yourself into because you're bringing capital to the deal. So they may be investing, your people may be investing as a limited partner in the deal, but you should, or not should, you can do whatever you want. But in my mind, just my understanding of it is you're adding a lot of value to that situation. And so you could essentially create your own syndication company where you are saying, I'm going to syndicate, I'm going to bring a bunch of my doctor friends together. We're going to have a pool of capital. I'm going to allocate that capital to these developers. And then you're running your investor base rather than just kind of turning them over to the sponsor. So have you gone down that path and looked at what that looks like to set that up?
That's exactly, that's the plan. And I have, what it looks like, I've been in talk with a couple of attorneys. I have some friends out of Texas and even Florida who are doing it right now. Some great people that I'm working with, and they've been doing it, and I'm looking at how they've done it. But that's the goal. But my philosophy is like, I'm not there right now. I'm not going to hinder someone's progress or hold them back.
Sure. So
I actually refer my physicians to people who are actively doing syndications, like 50,000, 100,000 investments, and they're actively getting involved. But, that's how relationships are built, through trust and honesty. And, those physicians come back to me and they're like, look, we really had a great time. We made some money and we want to do it again.
We're proud to be sponsored by Ridgeline Investment Group. Ridgeline has a track record of transacting more than $53 million in assets throughout Texas. Ridgeline is currently looking to acquire 100 to 200 unit Class B multifamily communities between 5 and 20 million in San Antonio, Temple, Waco, Tyler, and other Texas secondary markets. To learn more about Ridgeline Investment Group, visit www.ridgelineig.com. So again, when you are structuring it, just in the few minutes that we've got left, I want to kind of discuss a potential way that you could structure it, or some things that you could do if you are help just to like build something in the background, not high pressure, not anything with your base, right? So there are a few syndication style websites or CRM portals or those sort of things that you can then take offerings and put them out to your people, right? One of them is InvestNext. I'm not getting paid for any of these, right? They're just like straight up things. Syndication Pro is another. Syndication Pro is another one. Juniper Squares is a relatively expensive one. It's a well-known one. Yeah. But you can get some of these, like InvestNext is relatively inexpensive for $55 a month or something. You can go and put your database in there of all your friends, family, anybody, and essentially send them a newsletter once a month or do something with them to stay engaged with them. Just kind of let them know what's going on with you. And then when you have this developer who's like, hey, I've got this awesome deal, we're working on this thing, or you've got a medical office complex and you're like, do you need to raise any capital? Then you can go through and you can create a little offering for your friends and family, depending on what style it is, right? Obviously, if the developer wants to do a 506B, it can only be friends and family. Like there's a lot of regulations. If you're listening to this is not investing advice. Talk to your attorney, do all the things you need to do, right? I'm just saying for you specifically, you could have that kind of going, and it's super inexpensive just to like have that thing set. And then again, when something does come up, you have the ability to just quickly fire it off and say, hey, is anybody interested in this? This is something that I've got. And then that's where you are building your like syndication business, that then you're able to bring capital to investors deals, to sponsors deals. So, I don't know if that is something you'd considered, or if you'd like, I'm very curious, what are the attorneys telling you? What like structure? That's the question I wanted to ask you. Are they
any deal that we have, like I always by default, you have to have an attorney in your pocket, and we kind of run everything through him. So it's extremely important. And, they give us advice. Like I'm not an attorney, so I really don't know too much on the legal side, but we always run, our, agreements through them, see what they say and what they offer us as well. But as you said, this is not, financial legal advice. Like if you're certain about something, seek out, maybe, more of a syndication based type of attorney. And there are attorneys out there that specialize in this. So I always go through.
Yeah. There's a lot. I think I'm probably gonna need to do like an actual resources thing for anyone looking to do this on their own. Like my when I'm looking at doing this, we're I don't know how much this is going to be a public offering. So, but it's not out yet. So I don't know. Again, I don't know how much of it I can talk about. But we're going to launch something that is going to be an offering that it's going to be a crowdfund sort of deal. And so I'm excited about that because there's a cap on the limit you can raise, and it probably doesn't work for a lot of transactions. But because it's a single family based fund that we're going to be doing, we can do these tranches of funds at the cap and then just roll those every year. So again, on your front, if you are just pulling people together and your network together, you go to a guy like Voss, like I'm talking about, or anybody that you're working with and say, hey, I've got a pool of capital. I want to put it in. What kind of terms are you offering your capital raisers? Like that's the question. And so how much of the GP split are you going to give up for me to bring my money to the table or my friends and family money to the table? And then you have that conversation. It's a negotiation at that point. But great way to get into it and be on the co-GP team. You know what I mean? So
and we're trying to do something similar like that on other projects, like more like healthcare, biotech. I don't know if you're too much familiar with the solar panel space. There's a lot of big stuff happening there. We're trying to raise some capital in those projects as well. That's phenomenal. So we're trying to, this whole capital raising idea is not purely just for syndications and for real estate. You know, I've got a few other projects that we're trying to raise money, you know, and I think these are great channels to do that.
Yeah, for sure, man. It's if you got all those things, I mean, having just a basic like syndication pro or whatever it is, and you're putting all your offerings out like on a consistent basis, and then you become platform essentially. It's Raj's platform of awesome deals. Invest with me.
So if you don't, if you don't ask, you don't get. And same thing in life. Don't try. You know, you're not going to get anything. And I don't want to be that one person sitting there 10 years from now saying, "Damn, what if I did?"
Yeah.
You know, follow through that conversation with Randall on that podcast. So, you know, I'd rather give it a shot. If I fail, at least I learned something from it. I move on. You know what I mean?
You won't fail. You're not going to fail, man. You're already crushing it.
I bet. I try to stay humble and just, I'm always under the radar. I'm doing my little bit. My 3 kids keep me busy. You know, my wife's got her stuff going on, but like, you know, we just want to keep on trying. And, you know, if we can do something together, that'd be great. You know, just trying to help become more successful.
Yeah. Awesome. All right, man. Well, let's wrap it up. I'm going to ask some questions. Sometimes I ask, sometimes I don't. I've got like, what's your favorite pastime not related to real estate?
Playing soccer with my kids.
Yeah.
They're like born and raised in America. My kids, like me from England, I'm an Arsenal supporter. So they're always like asking, like, you know, what soccer? I know, don't nod your head. Like, what soccer team do you support and stuff like that? So like, my kids are like with, you know, Messi, PSG, and all of this, and they're so keen. So like every Saturday, or even on the weekdays, like Wednesday, we go to the local park just to kick the ball around. So I enjoy that. That's kind of my.
That's awesome. My son will fight you though, because he's a Man City guy. He's all about all of it.
Where do I get leave?
Yeah, and man, that's awesome. Yeah, he's 5 and he's all about soccer. He would correct me and say football, but you know, I tell him about the time that I was in Europe when the World Cup was on, and I was in Italy, and just so like coming from America, play football. And not really being into soccer as much. I always wanted to play, but it kind of messed up with the football like off-season training. Mm-hmm. But then going and traveling to Europe and seeing the World Cup and seeing the city would shut down. Like the entire city would shut down. Everybody's watching the game. Everybody's supporting their team, right? I was like, this is incredible. And so I tell him about that and yeah, he plays soccer nonstop. So yeah, but Man City all the way. So
no way. I'm sorry. I think this is not going to be a relationship right now.
We're going to cut it. That's funny. All right. So to that point, I like to, you know, ask a little positivity question too. Just like, what's the best thing that's happened to you or your family in the last couple months?
The best thing?
Memory.
Oh my. Yeah, I mean, I think the best thing was like I'm so all about education. And being in Orlando, I've been struggling to get my kids into like a better school, and finally I got all three into Orlando Science.
Awesome.
Like, I think that was a blessing there. Like, I'm all about education and doing your best and studying hard to become someone better. And I think it's a blessing that when we study and we've achieved so much, I want my kids to achieve more than me. And I think that starts with education. So I'm just happy that they finally got in. All three of them are together. That's a blessing for us.
Yeah,
I'm
great. Congrats for that. Yeah, it's a struggle, man. Just picking schools. My wife has been handling most of that for us, but it's just always like getting through that whole process when they're, yeah. So congrats. That's good.
Thank you.
Yeah. And then who's one or two people that you can think of that's been most influential to your success or your thought process or
my success? So you've heard of Michael Blank?
Yeah.
He's a great guy. I follow him. Like, he's definitely giving me a lot of advice. And I help what he's doing. So from a level of knowledge, I really follow what he does and how he set up his business. And then more importantly, putting that aside, I think my best advocate has to be my wife, because she's always telling me, stop being a fool, just go for it. And I'm a very 50-50 guy. Sometimes I'm always hesitant. Shall I do it? Shall I not? Shall I wait? She's like, what do you got to lose? Just go and do it.
Yeah,
Worst case
awesome.
is pick yourself up. And she is a major social media food influencer. Like, she's a major blogger on food stuff. And the amount of success she's achieved, she started from a hobby 4 years ago, and now she's one of the largest food bloggers in Orlando. And I'm like, I looked at her and she gives me inspiration, because she didn't give a rat's ass about what's going on. She just went and did it. Mm-hmm. But sometimes I'm doing these deals, I'm trying to learn to progress something. She's like, what's the worst you've got to lose? Just go and do it.
Love that. Honestly, that is fantastic. Good place to leave it for sure. Shout out to your wife.
Ed, thank you so much. I appreciate your time. Thanks for having me.
Great to have you on. Did you know that 80% of the agents we speak with got into real estate in order to gain passive income so they could obtain financial freedom and become work optional? If you want to stay up to date, the best way is to make sure you're subscribed. So if you haven't done that, go ahead and do it now. We'll catch you on the next episode.